Okay, on page 5, what we're going to do is test strips for the watercolors. And as you can see, I have almost all of mine done. I'm leaving the last one so I can show you how I did it. I organized my colors how I wanted them, and then this is how I put them on my test strip. So when I go to use a color, I already know what they look like. And I'm going to show you one other one. I have a small travel watercolor set because I really like to do watercolor. So I did the same thing with this one. So each of these colors coordinate in location for where this is. This one, if you really like watercolor, is at Hobby Lobby. You can get that, and it's kind of cool. It has a little tray on there, and it has a thumb hole so you could hold it. Flips down, you can hold it too, and it's pretty handy. So if you get into watercolor, that's kind of a cool purchase to look at. So I'm going to do the last one right here. I have my brush and water off to the side that you can't see. My last color, so I got all these wet first to let it absorb the water so it's very concentrated when I put it on. And I'm doing my dark color on the right, so I'm putting it on very thick, so it's pretty dark. Then I'm going to wash my brush out and kind of dab it off too, so that I have just water to pull over here, because what I want to see is how dark it can be and how light it can be. And if I have do a little more water here, so it's a very light to a very dark. Okay, this is a great opportunity to get to know your colors, to see what they look like. You could also use the bottom to do some overlapping. So you probably won't use your colors very often just as a pure hue of what it is, especially for blacks. I like to mix my own black, and I know a lot of artists that do the same thing for painting. But you can also kind of do some what's called interjecting. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting down like a light purple. I'm going to add some water to it. So there's some lighter places. I'm going to interject maybe a blue. So that'll give it some natural swirls in there and give it a little more interest than just a straight purple, and you can kind of guide that a little bit. Right now I have a lotion bottle underneath my paper pad so that the paints will all drift over to the one side, so that all of them will be dark on the one and light on the other, and that's kind of a little trick to make this so that it's consistent throughout. So it's going to be easier to see what's dark and what's light. So I do want you to do this for your whole color palette. Once you've decided how you want to lay it out, you can lay it out just like this, or you can leave it how it is in the pack. It's totally up to you. And then also kind of play around with the different colors at the bottom. See what different combinations you can try. I'm gonna do I like to do like a burgundy. I'm not a huge red fan, so I very rarely use just red. Maybe interjecting some orange and see what that looks like. Okay, we'll play around more with that later, but this whole page is for you to test out your colors and try some different experiments down in here.